Welcome to Meet Me in Sacred Space. I am Lori Andrus, and in today's episode, we are diving into a message that came through in an unexpected way. Clover's dog trainer. Yes, the words were simple, and it landed so deeply. This isn't just an episode about dog training, though we all know I could dive down a couple tangents on that. It's about how we show up in life, especially during times of change, creativity, and uncertainty. Join me as we explore what it means to turn up your energy, how the crystals of the year, star cluster aragonite and copper, are guiding the way for just that, and how to reconnect with your inner fire. All right, so welcome, friends. Welcome back. I'm so happy to be here with you and sinking into this conversation. So as you know, we have a puppy. Her name's Clover. She just turned 6 months. And in this first couple months, we have just infused tons of training time with her, classes and groups and so many different things. And it's been so much fun. And one of the biggest takeaways from our training efforts and experiences is that training our dog is as much about training ourselves and learning how to communicate with our dog in a way that she understands. It's so interesting. So at one of our recent training sessions, we were in this big room and there was a lot going on. It happened to be at the same time as the dogs that were kenneled for, their stay were getting out for bathroom breaks and dinner and all that other stuff. And so there was a lot of commotion and it had Clover's attention. She was so tapped into everything that was going on in the other room. And for her benefit, there were glass windows, so she could actually see what was going on, not just hear it. And she was so distracted, I didn't know what to do. And I can remember kind of just laughing and being like, I don't know, she's somewhere else right now. And the trainer just gently walked over to me and she said something to me in words that were just perfect, words that I could hear. She said, Lori, Clover is highly sensitive. Yeah, she said that. Clover is highly sensitive. And she was right. And then she continued on to say, Clover notices everything in her environment. She knows what's happening. She tunes into it. She's listening. She's paying attention. You need to turn up your energy. You need to get bigger so that she notices you first. I paused and stood there because my whole body just flushed with like a complete chill of truth. It was not only true for that moment with Clover, which it absolutely was true, but it was true in so many other areas of my life, and I could feel the ripple. In fact, I have the phrase "go big" hanging on a bulletin board in my office, and it's in big letters, and it's reminding me to let myself stretch beyond my comfort zone, to go beyond what is familiar and safe, and to push my own edges in ways that feel aligned and challenging for me. And I think we can all benefit from that at different times and in different ways. And in that moment, it was exactly what I needed to hear. And it was exactly what Clover needed. So we lightened it up, we had fun, and I turned up the energy for her. And what I realized in that moment was that turning up the energy didn't mean having to get loud. It didn't mean having to be vocal and aggressive, which is what my mind had always kind of pictured. It meant landing more deeply in me, letting my enthusiasm and joy for what we're doing to be emanated in the experience, to let my hands wave a little bit, some star fingers, and have fun with her. And guess what? She keyed in and she rocked every class after that. It was so cool to see how that made such a subtle shift, or that subtle shift within me made such a big shift in our communication. You know, this month we're looking at blue lace agate as our ally for the month, and it's one that's all about communication. Now, blue lace agate invites us to slow down and consider and soften and be more deeply present with our words, with our thoughts, our expression. It invites us to listen more closely, and it has a real tempered energy about it. And it sounds kind of contrary to say, oh, turn up the energy. But there was a mindfulness in the turning up of the energy. There was a focus on what was desired in our communication and really meeting each other in a way that communication is natural and at ease. How cool is that? Yeah. So as you're playing this month with blue lace agate, consider that. Let yourself play with that energy. Play with how blue lace agate wants to invite you to soften at times, and at other times turn up the energy, and yet at other times be more fluid and flowing. It's going to show up in many different ways. Okay, so let's just redirect now. I want to talk about the crystals of the year, because I feel like part of this year and what's all unfolding is an opportunity for each of us to turn up our energy. So let's talk about what this means for each of us. What does it mean to turn up our energy? I think we can all be aware of times in our lives when we pull back our energy, when we retreat, when we withdraw from different experiences in life. Sometimes things are overwhelming, sometimes we're just exhausted, sometimes we simply need a break. And other times we're in a place where we're not sure how to engage or how to be empowered in the situation, as was the situation with Clover. Now, not that I felt disempowered, but I just didn't know how to connect with her. Yeah, I didn't know how to connect. And I was doing what felt natural for me, and what felt natural when I would work with a student who was highly sensitive. I would slow my energy down. I would bring it down a little bit more grounded, a little bit more softer, and kind of pull back. And that didn't work with Clover. She needed more enthusiasm. And I think right now, with everything that's happening in the world, part of what needs to come forward, and that what is really helpful for each of us, is to discover where within ourselves do we need more joy? Do we need more laughter? Do we need more playfulness and excitement and enthusiasm? And I don't mean it from the place of bouncing off the walls or being ridiculously silly. For some of you, that may be exactly what you need to do. But noticing, where can you find a little bit more laughter and lightness? Where can you let yourself feel more at ease? Where can you find the laughter that comes from the place of purity rather than discomfort? Yeah. How can we turn up the energy? I think one of the things, as we're looking out into the world and we're looking out into all the things that are unfolding right now, it can feel like we should withdraw or retreat, or we should get super loud and super noisy and super active. But I know that that's not natural for all of us. Neither one of those are a real natural state of being. And I think finding the evolution or the energy to support the evolution that we're moving through is to come into a place of really being in our own energy and allowing it to fully expand, to be bright, to shine brilliantly, to lighten things up, to open space. And when we turn up our energy, that's what we're doing. We're coming into our authenticity, letting ourselves land more solidly in who we are, and then letting our light shine out into the world brightly, brilliantly, in alignment. One of the things I want to highlight around this piece of turning up our energy is that it's not about doing more. We've all done that. We've all gone through phases where we have felt like we need to, we can, we should do more. We've done it. Right now, it's about dialing back the do more and showing up more fully as who we are, more fully in our authentic expression, in our true nature, in our natural rhythm. Letting ourselves find that and letting it shine. Okay, so let's tangent just a bit into the crystal allies for the year. There are 2 crystal allies for 2025. The first is star cluster aragonite, and the second is copper, which is actually a mineral, but we'll call them crystals for the moment. So our 2 allies for the year. Star cluster aragonite invites us to let ourselves come into a place of authenticity, which, goodness, I feel like I say a lot, and letting our light shine like a sun, like a star, letting it radiate outward from a central core. It invites us to tap into our inner fire, to ignite it, to activate it, and let it glow. And in the process, our energy radiates out into the world in a way that is unmistakable. It has a unique energetic signature. It's noticed and felt in a way that is harmonious and empowering, awakening, enlightening. Whatever the energy is that you're naturally, innately bringing to the world right now, that is what will radiate out. Then we have copper. Now, copper, oh my goodness, I just love copper. Copper is a conductor. Think about wiring. Copper is the metal that has been used for electrical pulses to be sent. It is used for telephone wires. I mean, it conducts energy, messages. It carries it. So when we work with copper, it helps things to flow, to move in I'm going to say electrical or energetic ways. It allows them to move out into the world. So when we think about working with star cluster aragonite, which invites us to tap into and stoke our inner fire, gather up all of our energy, come into authenticity, and let our light radiate into the world. And then we invite in our great conductive ally of copper, who invites us or supports us in even amplifying that more. How amazing. Copper really helps us to amplify our light. You know, this message of turn up your energy, this has come to me a couple times in different ways. One from the dog trainer, another from a reader a couple years ago who told me to amplify my energy. Turn up your energy, amplify your energy, let yourself expand. In those moments when you want to retreat, when you want to pull back, notice what really is going on. Is it aligned to pull back your energy, or is it more aligned to stand in an empowered, authentic, natural way? And most of the time, it is most aligned and most empowering for you and the people around you to let yourself stand fully in you, light amplified and allowed to flow. Let your light get bigger. Let your energy turn up. Let it flow and let it expand. Not from a place of doing, but from a place of being. So yummy. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this. What does it mean to turn up our energy? One of the things that came forward as I was just tapping into that was that it invites us to tap into our sense of aliveness, what makes us feel alive. Yeah, I think we don't ask ourselves that question often enough, and I think it's one that's really important right now. What makes us feel alive? What brings a sense of aliveness to our experience? The next is to trust that your presence makes a difference. Yeah, your presence. It sounds so simple, but it's so significant. It's funny because there have been times, especially when I was working as an occupational therapist, and last year I was volunteering in a local school district. And during those volunteer times, I can remember walking into a classroom, and the teacher came up to me many times and said to me, she just had this exhale. And she said, every time you walk in the room, everything just feels more at ease. And it's not that I was doing anything, it was my presence. Something about my presence just allowed the space to ground, to land, to balance. And I think within each of us, we have a unique presence, like I said earlier, a unique energetic signature that when we allow ourselves to be in that, it creates harmony in the world around us. And that's potent. So your presence, trust that your presence is enough. All right. And then the third thing is to let go of the need for the perfection and the polish and, all that stuff that we think we need to have in place and in order to show up. And I'm kind of laughing at myself because I know that this is a really hard thing for me. This is a really hard piece, especially for the podcasts and for the videos, to allow myself to show up when things are messy, when they aren't in order. And I'm kind of laughing at the moment because I have a dead flower over my shoulder. And as I was sitting down, I was like, you really should go outside and go pick a new daffodil and bring a fresh one in. And I just laughed because that was me postponing my showing up by trying to create things being perfect, being perfectly polished, being perfect. Where are the places where you hold back your energy because you're looking for perfection? You're looking for the perfect polish. And how can you surrender and let yourself show up anyway with a dead flower over your shoulder? All right. So what I'd love to do next is I'd love to just sink in with you to do a little bit of an energetic practice to land into our fire and really anchor our inner fire. Now, when we think about turning up our own energy, we often think about tapping into like our solar plexus, our third chakra, and that place of personal power. And that's definitely part of it. But we're going to go a little deeper today. We're going to go down into our sacral chakra, to our place of creativity, creation, the center of bringing balance into all dualities and activating our creative fire within. So I want to invite you to just bring both of your hands down to your belly or just below your navel center and just gently let them rest there. And take a couple nice deep breaths. You might notice your first inhale just like raises up your shoulders. Totally cool. But I want to invite you to begin to bring your breath down into your belly so that as you breathe, your belly expands, letting your shoulders soften and relax and letting your inhale go deeper rather than up. Yeah, so if it feels right to close your eyes, go ahead and do that. If you want to keep them open, go ahead and do that. But just breathe into your belly. Couple nice deep inhales. Inhaling through your nose if that works, and then exhaling through your mouth. It's a nice, beautiful rhythm that just triggers your body to slow down. This is a wonderful pattern that slows your body down. It invites it to just find a natural rhythm, one that's more harmonious with the rhythm of the earth. As you begin to fill your belly with air, I want to invite you to begin to imagine that in there is a gentle flame, a little fire. This fire is yours. This fire is you. And it feeds the light that is you. It feeds your creative energy, your strength, your courage. It illuminates your body. With each inhale, begin to notice how that element of air nurtures the fire within. How it begins to expand and glow with even more light. And then with each inhale, begin to notice the energy, the light energy, moving through every cell of your body, nourishing it, nurturing it, illuminating it. Wonderful. Notice how the flames begin to dance, begin to have movement. Light is full of joy and play. And even in the places of the unknown, the places of uncertainty, they fill the space with possibility. Wonderful. Your energy is a sacred gift. I want to invite you to just let that phrase land within. My energy is a sacred gift. My energy is a sacred gift. My light is a sacred gift. Yeah. Just breathe that in. And then thank this inner fire, thank your body for showing up right now and in your life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Resting your hands, relaxing them. You can take them away from your belly, letting yourself just gently move a little. If you closed your eyes, reopening them, and letting your breath go back to just a natural rhythm. And just notice how you feel, your presence feels, how you feel in your body and in your space. And I want to invite you to just turn your energy up even a bit more. Yeah, turn it up. Great. Nice full inhale and exhale. Yeah, feel it, feel it, feel it. Feels good, doesn't it? As we wind down this episode, I want to invite you to have this as an anchor point for you throughout this month, the remaining days of this month. We're still in the first half of the month. So let yourself anchor into the energy of you just expanding your light, what it means to turn up your light. And I want to leave you with a couple reflection questions. So you may want to pull out a journal and take some notes here. But the first one is, where have you been dimming your light or holding your energy back? And then what lights you up? And how can you give that more space? What is one area in your life where you are ready to turn up your energy? Yeah. Have fun with this. Spend some time in reflection. You probably already know the answers to those questions, but I'm going to challenge you to actually write them down. There's something that happens when we take the time to write it down. It shifts it from the story we're telling ourselves in our mind and trying to remember for later to something that is concrete and coming into form. It helps us to commit to the thought and commit the energy to action. So make a commitment for yourself. How are you going to commit to turning up your energy in your life? Pick just one place where you can turn up your energy. Awesome. All right. And then get a hold of a piece of copper or star cluster aragonite. Start working with them throughout this month and for the rest of this year. They are such great allies for turning up our energy and moving through these changing times. I just love that they showed up for the allies of the year. All right. And this is the type of energy we are going to be working with in the Sacred Stones journey. That 7-week class begins on Friday, April 18th. And we're going to go through for 7 weeks. We're going to dive into the Stone Speak Oracle. We're going to work with the energy of the cards and how we can use divination as a sacred process for really illuminating what's unfolding in our own lives and how we can uniquely turn up our energy, how we can navigate the path that is emerging for each of us in a way that feels natural and authentic and aligned. So if this is something that you are curious about or that inspires you, I would love for you to join me. I'll drop a link in the show notes. Pop on down there and head over, learn more about the journey. We begin on the 18th, and I'd love to journey with you. All right. Thank you for joining me in Sacred Space. If this message stirred something within you, I invite you to work with the crystals Star Cluster Aragonite and Copper and try that inner fire ritual again. Let yourself tap in a little deeper. And if you're feeling called to deepen your relationship with the stones, your energy, and the sacred work in the world, I'd love for you to join me for the Sacred Stones workshop. The details are in the show notes. And until next time, turn up your light. The world needs you. Bye for now.